Aha, welcome to Noise with Ivan. It didn't register with me that I was starting this, so forgive me if I'm not prepared. I've had a difficult week. Um, really amazing week, but difficult. Um, I guess if you're suffering afflictions, then you know something's going right because something's causing you to focus on a higher power as opposed to yourself. You know, I'd rather be stressed and understanding reality than calm and delusion. Been working on slavery. Actually got it done, right? It was this wonderful moment, and I had to type in all the information to DistroKid. It's 35 tracks, and I typed in the credits and all kinds of stuff for 35 tracks. Then I went to upload it. My computer fell asleep. I wake my computer back up. Error on the third track. So I type everything in again because it's only one page. You have to restart altogether if there's an error. Typed in the information for 35 tracks again. This was like an 8-hour workday, basically. And then I type in all the tracks again. So that happens twice, the error thing. When I type it in the third time, I get everything done. I keep my computer awake until the whole thing is uploaded, and it says, "Hooray!" Everything's going out to stores. It's getting uploaded, and I go to sleep, wake up. I basically just took a nap. It wasn't an 8-hour day. I was horribly um, less than active that day because I'm uploading the biggest album I've ever done, more tracks than any other, and I probably put more effort and time into it. And obviously, the more skilled you get, it's my most recent album, so it was the most skilled as I've ever been. And I have another person on the album. The Mercy Vacuum is on it. Um, so it's a big deal, and I feel like it's a big deal if I get it put up. Well, I did get it put up, and I got a response from DistroKid that the stores didn't want it. And I've released noise albums before. Man Hates God is probably my least accessible album, but it was fine. And I mean, I put that out in what 22, you know. So, but this one I got a rejection. They didn't want it. They said the DistroKid cannot accept ASMR or speeches or white noise or any of those things as music. Even though I've released very experimental works before, this was rejected. Um, so you can't release an album with noise mainstream if they can do anything about it. Now I'm gonna do my best. I suppose that I will release the original version of Slavery as a full album on YouTube. I may as well do that on Bandcamp. I may as well do that as in a physical release. The problem with that is that I'm splitting the income on some of the songs with the Mercy Vacuum, so it's a whole lot easier if I can just do it all through DistroKid. A lot of things are against me though. So what I'll be doing in the next week or so is composing, um, and this has been an excellent record, and I've been working on it for over a year. Um, in fact, the Mercy Vacuum got his tracks done. I put I don't know when Volume 5 came out, but I was working on that while I was in school. Um, and I started working on slavery before that. So, I mean, and I was in school and working a full time job um, when I started slavery. And I was also working on Volume 5 when I started slavery, which is a 2-hour album itself. So, um, a lot of things got in the way of it, you know, but nonetheless, it's been something that I put a lot of time and a lot of thought into. especially the composition and the layout of it, and getting the message of slavery. The whole idea with the album is that you are either a slave to sin or a slave to righteousness. So we get a depiction of that in the beginning, and then we get a transition, very much like handwritten letters, going into what it is to be a slave of righteousness as opposed to a slave to sin. A lot of really cool stuff going on. Shame has finally been released on Bandcamp. You can check that out. I'll put it in the description below. It's also on CD, so I should understand that you know how to get in touch with me. You can DM me on Instagram as of right now. I have 20 copies of it. Just let me know if you want a CD. I'll make up a price for it, $5. Alright, and it tends to be $10 for shipping, so maybe get more than one thing, from me. I have plenty of CDs that I can give you because of, I don't ever want to buy just one album and then also pay for shipping, so that I'm paying $5 or $10 just to get one album. Putrescent. I think that's how you say that. Putrescent. Anyway, I'm worried about the music, not the label name. Alright. Got this. Innocuous, I think is how you pronounce it. This is what I would understand to be gore noise. I asked the Ganakakos. I would understand it to be gore noise. It sounds like gore noise to me. It's very gurgly and also noisy. Very similar to, but these are the three things that I got from the label, and I ordered what they have, and everything that I got was on cassette. Anal Birth, Ganakakos, and this Dagger release that, I gotta be honest with you, I love the alternative packaging. It's very interesting. I like it a little bit better here than here because this is difficult. Because if I ever want to show somebody something, oh, this is this, and it falls right out. I've tried to fashion the fabric that came with it in order to keep it in closer. If anybody knows how to utilize the fabric in a way that keeps everything in this little vessel that the cassette has. I've had half of mine just to carry it like this because the name Dagger and the name Deadly Transmission is on it. So I'm going to start off by talking about these few. Of course, I mentioned almost everything I have here last week. And yeah, slavery took so much time. I would have intended on, I don't know. Yeah, there's a whole lot going on right now. Oh, more information. Good things are happening, like I said. And it's probably good that I'm going to end up having to... So yeah, oh, by the way, I'm going to release... I don't know if I already said it. Maybe on Bandcamp, maybe on YouTube, maybe a physical release. I really do aim to do a... I really would like to do a full album on YouTube. Of the original version of Slavery. But again, I mean, I don't know. I guess I could look into how to split some of the profits with the Mercy Vacuum, but that's weird because it's a full album stream. And I can't. I guess I could do the math on that. Yeah, I'll figure it out. It's difficult, but I would really. There's a lot of things that need me to get this complete with a regular release. So what I'm going to be doing is with some of those songs that are in the middle of it, there's a lot of things that are along the lines of ASMR, a lot along the lines of speeches. There's a lot of things that are along the lines of white noise. Obviously, I'm a noise artist. The beginning of it is Pastor John Piper has a little thanks to Desiring God, they allowed me to use a clip from one of his sermons, Perils of a Disapproving God, which is an incredible sermon and an incredible excerpt from it, and I was just dying to use it in one of my albums, and it worked out so well. The baritone guitar sounds a little weird at the beginning of that, but still very pleased with it. It's like the coolest thing I've ever done. I've never done a little sermon jam before. Um, and there's like normal music at the beginning of it, normal music at the end of it. In fact, it's the first um, project that I've ever sang on. I sing on the very end of the album. Um, but yeah, I'm going to be composing within the next couple weeks, and that's I mean this is the that's the that album is the reason why I've been doing so much within the noise community, because I was more of just a fan of it, and I was heavily influenced by it. And the more music that I created, I kind of moved away and just kind of took the experimental aspect of noise music that I learned um, as a teenager, from all these noise artists, Grimm and Jason Krumer being two of the main ones, that I learned from. There's many noise artists that I really, really like. Um, but I'm very happy to be involved in the underground scene. The reason that I got involved in the underground scene was so that I could promote that record, Slavery. And it just got way out of hand. I ended up doing the Bastard Sword release. I ended up doing the split with Roman Shower. I did the split with the Angel of the Enemy. The Angel of the Enemy we're doing on Gates of Hypnos, which is a we plan on doing a CD on another label, or just a self-release CD. But the album will be released on Gates of Hypnos, which is a bigger label than we could have ever intended on, certainly bigger than Hidden Window, which is super cool. They offered to us, which I was very much interested in, because we have scripture cited just like Slavery does. We had scripture cited in the titles of the tracks, right, for the Whore's Bath and Black Helix thing. And I was very adamant about having that after I started working on Slavery, and I decided that I would cite scripture for it. They recommended, because of that, that we go on, and we decided against it because it's just a little bit shaky for me. They have a sub-label called, which is very cool, called, I have it, I know it. Liturgy is the second word. HL. They abbreviated it when they texted about it. Something liturgy. I'm gonna check. I'll put a picture of it up because I've started editing these. I no longer do them live. Something liturgy. It's a really cool label. You should check it out. I just unfortunately can't remember what the first word is. ML. ML. I don't know. ML. Militant Liturgy. I never would have got that. Militant Liturgy. And I would be interested in doing a release on there in the future. As a Christian noise artist, it's kind of for it to have as much stuff going on. But like that's the one thing I thought about Beyond Death, is because I had kind of figured when I embarked on Beyond Death, I was like, oh wow, there's a whole lot of Christian symbolism here, and more and more Beyond Death seems like a label that is Christian. But you get into it and you find out it's not really that, you know. Oh, I forget his name. Anyway, it was a really cool label. I've been into so many things, and this was back when Beyond Death first started out. Beyond Death has gone very far, and I had thought about reaching out to like Cave Depression and like, or I thought about reaching out to those guys. Because they had records that I loved. I listened to them back to back. I had thought about reaching out to those guys about doing a split or something, and none of this happened until now. So here I am with a label like Hidden Window. Like in a lot of ways, I wish I would have reached out to Beyond Death, because it was a label that I admired, that was smaller than, that I could have gotten involved in, and watched it grow instead of going from place to place to place. But I'm very. But it's always awkward for me because I don't know what religious means, when, like, Militant Liturgy has the Christian sonic terrorism. And I'm like, okay, is that what I'm doing? You'd have to have a pretty in-depth conversation with a person to know if this fits in with my views and my purpose as an artist, right? Because misplacing, right? Misplacing Christian noise music or music that's intended to glorify God in a place where you wouldn't expect to find it, that's a non-Christian label, that's a noise label, as opposed to a Christian noise label, is going to find people, and the scripture sightings are going to find people that are not used to it, which is very much something that I'm interested in. Giving people a different perspective. Is it really valuable? If somebody's like, yeah, John 3:16, I know, God's glorify God, yeah. For Christians. It's a lot harder to get to them. To get to people that think they already know what they're going for. I'm not necessarily looking to appease other artists, but then I would want to do that too. But it gets a lot shakier when you don't really know what kind of Christianity we're talking about. Christianity is a very broad thing, and it's a very cultural thing, and that sometimes contrasts with what we're actually looking for. As followers. So, that's why I didn't reach out to Beyond Death, and that's why I kind of leaned toward Gates of Hypnos, and that seemed like what Gates of Hypnos was leaning toward, as well as maybe the Angel of the Enemy as well. But I will say a more condensed fans, as opposed to a broad. I could have 100,000 people listen to it once, as opposed to 500 people listening to it 10 times. I didn't do good math there. My bad. Let me get to the Dead Infant Sodomy is a tough name. Anal Birth I always thought was funny, but when you get to Dead Infant Sodomy, it's a little shaky. I will say that out of these, Dagger is probably most to my taste. I'm a little bit new to Gore Noise. I didn't break out the Perloid releases. I'm doing all cassettes today. Dagger is classic. He did all the Friday the 13th stuff, if that helps you remember Dagger. And this is a very interesting, very collectible, very cool release. And like I said, it's just tough for me to store it like this, but if you want to store it like this, you can. But also the interesting, and there's a hand wash only tag in here, made in USA. I don't know if that's meant for the cloth there. You're supposed to only hand wash that cloth, but I think if you tried to hand wash it, that'd probably fall apart, because it's already falling apart on me. This little tag in here, sewing tag. Oh, there's some resemblance there. I didn't even realize that. There's a needle and thread, but it's 4 needles and 1 thread as opposed to 1 needle and 1 thread, which would be normal. Deadly Transmission, like a lot of tapes, like the Shame tape, it's just 2 sides. And yeah, this is classic noise. It's broken up, it's interesting, it holds your attention, but it is classic. It's just a harsh noise as you would figure. And as far as my Gore Noise review, I would say that Dead Infant Sodomy is a little more, or Anal Birth is a little more farty poopy, diarrhea type of stuff, and this is a little more gurgly, pukey, belchy type of stuff. I really thought Anal Birth was a funny name, really cool logo, really funny logo, with a guy's butthole, or maybe a woman's butthole. I don't know, but Anal Birth is iconic. I gotta be honest. I don't know, it's close between these two. But Gore Noise is very interesting for me right now. I've been interested in it, and oh yeah, I reached out for a label, Fermenting Sewage. who had a lot of releases, and I'm very excited to get them. I gave him 50. I offered to trade with him. He says always down for trades. I was like, I've got 6 Noise CDs, and he was like, not really interested in Noise. I kind of just want grindcore or gore stuff, all gore. I'm a gore collector. And all those CDs have an aesthetic about them, so I definitely understand. You know, that's why I got interested in the Perloid. Once I ordered the Perloid, I was like, well, let me look into Fermenting Sewage. Fermenting Sewage had done trades with Perloid, so I obviously reached out to Fermenting Sewage. It says all trades. Not exactly true. And I checked the tracking, and it says that the package hasn't been shipped, I think. Once we receive it, we will provide the tracking information. The label has been made, but we don't have the tracking information. He said he would ship it the day that he did, but we haven't talked since then, so I don't know if he did ship it. But he offered me, you know, it was a shame that he wasn't interested in trading, but he's not really. He's more of a collector, is what he said. He's like, the reason I trade is just for collecting. So he didn't trade with me, but I told him I wanted this Puke Squeegee demo that was Sushi Roll Booty Hole. And he was like, I can offer you that for $10. So I was like, what if I give you $50 and you give me whatever you think it's worth, backstock wise, anything you need to get rid of. And he sent me a picture of, 20, 25 CDs, something like that, 24, 25. Which were all interesting looking, very exciting to grab. And yeah, I'm excited to get the package, but I'm not sure if he actually shipped them out or not. I might need to reach out to him if I don't see something, because it could already be in the mail. It could just be bad, because I know I just got a notification that this is supposed to be showing up today, like later today. Right now it's like 4 or 5 in the morning, but later today this is supposed to show up. But this has been here for a couple weeks, and hey, I don't know if you saw or not. I did a little screen grab. Burial is also a label, and I gotta speed this up because I've done 20 minutes already. That's crazy. Burial Recordings is also a label that reached out to me. I was absolutely in love with this tape. This was a great tape. The Forced Entry and Glasgow Smile split. I really liked the Forced Entry side. It was a really great really great thing. A lot of textures, a lot of field recordings, but that doesn't take away from it being noise. It's not ASMR like Slavery. Such a great release. I could not recommend this enough. This is a fantastic tape. The Madeline at Neighbors, I gave a spin, and this is one of the most Tim Birkeland and Martin. It doesn't say their name anywhere else. I can't really read it on the side there. I'll put a link in the description. This was really phenomenal as well. It's kind of weird to rank this with the Gore Noise stuff, but I was really pleased with all the tapes that I got. This, I think, I don't know, this is more texturally interesting, but this is just more central to my taste. I'm itching to give this another spin now, but this one I feel like I know. But I would like to listen to both of these again. These are both really, really great releases. So Burial is not the low. Sometimes it feels good to get stuff from a 1 or 2 person label, but Burial seems like it's got a little bit more going for it. And I talked to Burial. I was like, I got the summer batch, and I was like, hey, if I accidentally order this 6 times, my bad, because I tried to order it like 6 times. He was like, just charge me for. I was like, just charge me for one and send that to me. And then later, I ordered it and it worked. It was just being, the website was being weird. It's hot in here. I apologize. I haven't been working in the in my office, but this is just where you do noise with Ivan. Um. So basically, went back and forth emailing this guy, so he can sell one summer batch. Really nice and um, really cool. And I got a few CDs between that and the fermenting sewage lot that I grabbed. Really got a lot of bang for my buck. Um, Also, with a lot of bang for my buck, $5, 2 tapes. Madeline and Neighbors, but I will say from Brooklyn, New York, I will say that um, these are short. These are like 2 minutes long. Very calm and soothing, not crazy whispering on this one. But I thought that I had given this one a spin, and it was also whispering. So I'm wondering if this wasn't different from the regular recording, from the regular Bandcamp that I MP3 that I listened to, or I suppose it would have been a WAV file that I listened to if it was on Bandcamp. Good for Bandcamp. I'm really liking Bandcamp more and more now that I know how stingy these stores are increasingly getting. I mean, Spotify is getting to the point where I've always been like, so you gotta do what they want as a business, and you can't make a living doing your niche. Everyone has some kind of artistic thing that they do. It's a very common thing. Everybody's an influencer of some sort. Everyone has, with the 5 minutes of fame, as Warhol said. Speaking of Warhol, I was gonna break out this. I'll get to this last. I gave these a listen. These are classics. I've always been a big. If you're wondering what kind of normal music I like to listen to, it's Magma and Talking Heads. I had some phases toward the end, but this is a Ray Momo is an underrated David Byrne album. I highly recommend this. This is really good, and I think probably easy to find on cassette. I'm assuming that I got this from Amoeba in a mystery pack, I think. But nonetheless, really great album. David Byrne's solo stuff is really good. He's a great artist. And Talking Heads Naked is also a pretty good album. At a certain point, you have to appreciate what the Talking Heads are rather than, the Stop Making Sense songs. But if you like Stop Making Sense, I should figure that you're a Talking Heads fan as opposed to just the CBGB type stuff. But yeah, for me, it was the Melvins. Talking Heads and Magma were really big bands that I liked. I liked Scavenger of Human Sorrow by Death. That was one of the big death metal bands I liked. I suppose I liked black metal a little bit. I remember the band Horde as a young Christian who loved black metal. But didn't really stick with me. Battlemaster, my guitar teacher Brady Cole was in Battlemasters. That was a huge band for me growing up. I love Left Cross, local bands, so a huge band for me growing up. There's a band from here called Majority Rule as well that I really liked. And I liked Bat the first time I heard them. There's a band called Slang from Japan, really good. Did a cover of, I can't remember. There was a Back to the Streets compilation on a 10-inch record that I got from Vinyl Conflict as a kid. And it was a cover, a Minor Threat cover, I think, of the song. I don't want to hear it. I don't want to hear it. And they did it so well. There's some Japanese bands that are so much harder. Maybe Gas Mask is one of those bands. So much harder than American hardcore bands. Um, but I'll get back to you. I know I like Harm's Way. That was a popular one. I like Converge. Anything that everybody likes, I guess. And I used to like Turnstile. I have to admit, I don't want to be an elitist, but I have to admit the joy of Turnstile has gone down hill for me. Fugazi, huge band for me. I'm trying to think of just mainstream stuff mostly. Um, and there were, but I have to say that most of the stuff that I got was the cheap discount stuff, which is why I love what I'm doing now with tapes like these. Like those are the things that formed me, the things that were not selling in the record store that I was able to get for 50 cents to $1 or got in mystery packs as a kid. That's what I could afford, and that's what I got because I wanted to get into music like that, that's in a store like that. Um, and yeah, so I don't have a problem with contributing to that because that was a big thing for me as a kid. Those kinds of albums, these ones where I feel like I'm scraping the scum off the floor, but it was just the most incredible thing to me as a young man. Stonewire, Bones Are For the Dead. This is an old tape that I got from one of those packs. I wouldn't have known about it. It's a Noise album. And it's from Death Industrial from Hungary since 1997. Oh! Exhibis. I suppose that's a label. Oh, I don't know enough about this. I'm sorry. From 2016 in Brooklyn, Exhibit Studio, Brooklyn, New York, and it lasted since 97. And they're doing albums like this. Discomfort Music Exhibit. Very, very cool. Very, very cool. I've got to be honest, I listen to noise music on a low volume. I'm sorry. I know a lot of people like to listen to it loud, but for me, music, I like to hear it just loud enough to where I hear everything. And I guess that's the audio engineer in me. When I get tracks from artists, it bothers me quite a bit. The whole thing is clipping. I'm not a fan of that. I'm sorry. I usually like the track in general, but I just don't like it being poorly recorded. You know, just because we're making alternative music doesn't mean that we get to just turn knobs and blast it. I'm supposed to put the effort in to produce this thing, and it's clipping. Why would you have it clip? You're getting rid of all the value of the audio. Is clipping the goal? Okay. Record it and then reduce it so that we are getting because when we go to release this thing, anyway. Clipping bothers me. And I understand the value of clipping. I shouldn't act like there's no value in clipping, but I went to school for production, and I just have a problem with it. I can't stand it. So as like when I worked with the Angel of the Enemy in Roman Shower, when I got their tracks, they were clipping, and I just reduced it. I reduced the gain on them. I just needed it to be malleable so that I could work with it, because I'm not going to be making my my tracks are not going to be clipping. So when we go to put this thing out, it's going to be really quiet on my tracks and then really loud and obnoxious on your tracks. We just can't we can't have that cut up. Because I know that sometimes I want to shock my listeners, Like, be like, oh, you were here and now you're here. Like, scare them like it's a bad dream. You don't know what's going to come next. But honestly, the listener can just turn it down and will, right? And so then that ruins the flow of the album. But the textural differences between me and those artists, or between what I do noise wise and those artists, is enough. Um, Sometimes I make stuff clip. Sometimes I'm okay with it. I have a hard time. But yeah, Stonewired was, being that it was from 2016, I mean, I feel like that was a really good year for music. It was a big year for me. It was when I got into metal and stuff. My music taste went a really long way. Let me grab this for the thumbnail. Oh, I got Slavery stickers made. I'm not going to show you them. I apologize. So, when I get Slavery out, please listen to it. The Shame single is out, and or the Shame split is out, and the split with Angel the Enemy is coming soon. There should be a really cool promo video. I hopefully will be able to put that up on this channel. One of the best releases I've done. Pretty hyped about that, and Angel the Enemy is a really solid artist from the UK. So, apart from Slavery, check those things out. Check out my music if you want to support me. All my music is here on this channel. I'm not gonna make anything off those other two albums, but I will make money if you listen to this stuff. So, I would really like that. And also, let me know on Instagram if you would like CDs, if you would like to do a trade. I will give you as much bang for your buck or for the CD as I can. I have literally hundreds and some CDs to distribute to you over the span of over 6 albums to offer you. So I'm not worried about, I don't know how else I would make money on them. I don't have an online store or anything like that to use. So you can give me like 2 tapes and I'll give you 6 CDs. So I will do my best to make it worth it. I don't like charging a lot. I don't like making more than I feel like something's worth. I would really just rather break even and have my stuff distributed to new people. So yeah, I'd rather have you go with the physical release on the noise stuff. But yeah, do check everything out. I mean, we're working hard here. Let me know if there's anything you want me to listen to. And a good way to get it on this show, if you want to promote something, is to trade with me. Just saying. Yeah. And also tune in next week, support the show, leave a like, whatever. The show's not doing well either. And yeah. Godspeed.